Let's get started. We've got Andy Kirchner with us today, who is the Managing Director at Kolektivo Labs, one of the most exciting projects building on top of Fuse network right now. Very excited to have you on the podcast, essentially the Fuse podcast on the Fuse AMA sessions. We'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about yourself, Andy, if you would.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me on. Hi to all the listeners and viewers. My name is Andrew Greg Mitchell Clemens Kirchner. My mom gave me a mouthful, but my friends call me Andy. I'm born and partially raised in Curaçao, lived in Holland, traveled in Europe for a couple of years. I've been back since 2007 here in Curaçao, and since last year I've sort of accidentally tripped and fell into the blockchain sphere, and I've been addicted since.
Awesome. Tell us more about what it is that Kolektivo Labs is doing on Fuse Network, what the project is about.
Sure. It can be quite confusing sometimes for people that are not as much involved as me. We have the mother organization, which is Kolektivo Labs, and that one focuses on Web3 development all around the world. And then we have Kolektivo, one of the side projects that's based only on Curaçao, where we are trying to create an impact economy, a regenerative economy. And a part of Kolektivo is our own community coin, which is CuraDAI. And we're really trying to do something for the Curaçao community. We are an island in the middle of the sea, so you can imagine everything needs to be imported and exported. Thank goodness we have a diaspora that is all around the world, and that especially now with all the developments during COVID in the past year, has really given us the opportunity to expand across the borders. And with Kolektivo Labs being built from the Netherlands, our colleagues in the Netherlands really made an emphasis to build Kolektivo on Curaçao, because there was so much going on during all the lockdowns. We could really see poverty, what it's doing on the island. And it was really time to create something just for the local community.
Awesome. How does Kolektivo Labs or CuraDAI in this sense help to deal with problems such as poverty on the island?
Well, right now we're doing a lot of research. I mean, you can imagine in the last year, there's so many wounds have been opened or have been reopened, especially as an ex-colony. You can see there's still so much hurt and anger and poverty. What has been beautiful for me to see is that we as an island, we are only 62 kilometers long, that there are 150,000 people on the island. And from those 150,000 people, we have at least 50 different cultures. And you can imagine all those cultures have their subcultures. And then there are also generational differences. So there is a lot to work with there. So what we're trying to do is understand that as much as possible. But while we're understanding that, we're also starting to build, because if you just do research, then at a certain point you have a lot of knowledge and a lot of data, but then you still have to start a project, and that's too late. So we believe that we need to start building from the ground up. And what's the ground? That's food. That's the basic need, and that we could really see that was missing on the island. And as I already mentioned, everything needs to be imported. So there you go, prices go up. Thank goodness our government understands that they can't tax that. So tax on fruits and vegetables have been either lowered or stopped completely. But we still have to see how to create more ourselves, so we don't have to import that much. Also environmental impact, of course. So what we did is we built a food forest. We created some NFTs, sold those NFTs, and with those NFTs, we created a food forest. Thank goodness someone lent us their property. So that food forest is a syntropic food forest that we are creating right now. with what's coming from the food forest. One, we can sell that. Second, we can create products with what comes from the food forest. You can imagine soap, skincare products, shampoos, teas, all those kind of things. So we're testing and playing with that. We're trying to get as many local producers involved. And the third one is, of course, the people that will be working on the land. Those can be volunteers. We're trying to move away from the word volunteers, like push it in the past and really consider them contributors. And that's where the CuraDAI comes in, because then they can get paid with CuraDAI. And once they start spending the CuraDAI at our local merchants that we are still searching, educating, and getting involved inside the ecosystem, once they start spending those CuraDAI, we can see what people start spending CuraDAI on. We can get that feedback back from our merchants. And that way we can create an even bigger impact. Like, okay, people really need this product. So we need to find a way to make that cheaper, or create it ourselves here on the island, or help someone create that, because you can't do everything yourself. And my task in there is to be a facilitator, a manager. Sometimes it's helping sweeping the floor, and the other time it's working till midnight, getting things on paper. I'm loving it. It's an amazing challenge, but it just shows how much there is to do. And COVID has been a blessing in disguise. Yeah.
It's allowed you to accelerate basically in creating what's needed on the island of CuraDAI in terms of creating more of a community focus when it comes to economics locally. How does CuraDAI work exactly, just for our audience and the Fuse community in particular to understand CuraDAI itself? It's a token. How does it work? Is it backed by something? Is it a currency on its own? How does it work?
But this is always fun for me to talk about, because as I said, I barely have any experience in the blockchain industry. It's really last year I got involved thanks to a friend of mine, and since then I've just been learning. Back then, when I started, I mean, gas fees were $3. We were still on the mainnet. We were experimenting with CuraDAO, Curaçao Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and with CuraDAI, and that was working fine until the gas fees started going up. We gave some grants away to local projects doing cleanups and things like that, and we could really see how people experience it. And in one way, they felt really empowered to be in charge of their own money, but on the other side, they were really scared, because now suddenly they carried all the responsibilities. And as I'm managing or facilitating in this, I can really see the blockchain experts that are helping me in this, and they're talking in a certain way that I'm sometimes like, sorry, what, how? And I'm working on the other side with these students and young professionals that are like, a blockchain, what? So it's like I needed different passports to communicate with everyone, and learning and educating. That's been very fun. So basically, CuraDAI right now exists in two ways. That's one, on the mainnet, where you can mint it by putting your DAI as collateral, and then you swap it for CuraDAI. But thanks to Fuse, now we have also a wallet, and that has created we still haven't managed the bridge excuse me if I don't explain this in the exact right terms, but we haven't created the right bridge yet, how to convert it from the mainnet to the Fuse network. But having the Fuse wallet has really changed our game and really helped us speed things up, because suddenly there are no gas fees. Suddenly the payment goes within a couple of seconds, and the supermarket has we are working with one supermarket, and they got very excited, and that is helping us getting other supermarkets excited. So again, the whole COVID pandemic has really helped us speed things up, and having Fuse involved has helped us to lower the fees, getting the payments go even faster and easier, because first they were working with a trust wallet, and we were noticing that even though people, it was exciting, it was something new, but people were still scary. And with the way the Fuse wallet works, it's so simple and so easy that even my mom, she's turning 70 soon, even she's like, oh, that's not that difficult, I can do that. And that's crucial if you want to make this as socially as acceptable as possible.
Yeah. So to understand and to make it clear, CuraDAI is minted on Ethereum mainnet using DAI. It's bridged over to Fuse, and that's where, thanks to the faster and cheaper infrastructure on Fuse blockchain, on Fuse network, and then the mobile infrastructure, it makes it much easier for everyday consumers to transact with the currency. What's the benefit? You have merchants, right, locally on the island that are using using CuraDAI. What's the benefit for merchants to use to accept CuraDAI?
Well, there is everyone knows the loyalty programs. Here we have one that's called Fun Miles, and we sort of compared with that. Only we go a lot further. As I already mentioned, we're having a food forest. So people that have CuraDAI, the merchants know these people have actually done something good for their community, and they're spending something for their community. As I'm talking to the merchants and onboarding them, they really get excited about it. They're still scared because it's something very new. They're like, okay, but how does this work? How did that work? How do I onboard? How do I off-ramp it? And all these things that I need to explain to them. But without me having to explain it very much, they understand instantly, like, with this, I'm actually supporting my community. I'm not just giving something away and it disappears. No, we're actually sort of tracking it, and we can see that the community is benefiting from it, because there's a food forest being developed. There are producers being guided in creating products with local materials that they don't have to import. There are people being trained to work with what's coming off that food forest, with how to manage their CuraDAI and where they can spend it. One of the, they're not on the app yet, but one of the future merchants instantly saw the benefit from, hey, if I go on the app, I can buy this product from location A that's already on the app. I can sell it at my location, and they can buy with CuraDAI. So they're starting to see it themselves. And since we're still pretty early on, I mean, we're just working on this, if I'm not mistaken, 8 months or 7 months. I think that's pretty fast, especially if Curaçao is not a location where that's easy adaptable as when you go to Europe or the States, where apps are embraced and let's try something new. People are a little bit more cautious over here. So to see them doing that, it's amazing, and I really feel we have some exciting future ahead of us.
Awesome, sounds exciting. How did you come across the project yourself, and what interested you to get involved?
I'm a public speaker. I'm a facilitator, and I was asked to speak at Innovation C, a local entrepreneurial hub that we have on the island, and talk about mental health during the lockdown. I'm also a mindset coach, emotional intelligence guidance counselor. So as I was talking about that, and I saw what this organization was doing, I was like, hey, I want to be involved. I want to help more people. We really need to keep people motivated. And from one thing came another. I was asked like, hey, Andy, we love what you're doing. Why don't you send in a proposal for CuraDAI, the predecessor of Kolektivo? Can you send in a proposal for your postcards? I have my own quotes that I write on postcards and that I send to people to keep them inspired and motivated. And that's how I got my first $140 in Ether. And the moment I got, I mean, before that, I thought, all this crypto is only for smart people, for computer nerds, for rich people, for geek. I mean, that's the that was going on in my brain. And once I got it, I was like, I'm not gonna spend this. I wanna know how this works. So I started learning. I don't know how many YouTube videos I watched, but I literally dove and went very deep into it. And before I knew it, I was one of the founders of Kolektivo. I was giving workshops about cryptocurrencies on the island because I wanted to empower as many people, because I believe that it's not the cryptocurrency that is empowering us, it's the blockchain that's empowering us, and the transparency in there, and the option, especially with the DAOs, you actually have a vote. It's the most democratic form of doing, of creating an organization that I've seen so far. And I'm 44, just for the people watching, listening. So that as a, I'm a real pirate. I love empowering people. I love having some power in my hands to be able to vote. And when I saw that, I was like, I need to know more. And I've been hungry since. There's still so much that I don't understand. Yeah. Sometimes I'm sitting in a room and I feel like I'm the dumbest dude in the room, and I can't understand a word of what they're saying. And the other day I feel like I'm smart.
How long has it been then? How long has it been since your first intro to cryptocurrencies, decentralized technologies, etc.?
April 2020.
Okay.
April 2020, and I joined an exchange. I mean, you know the process once you get involved, and I've walked all the steps, and I've seen the things that were important to me and which not. But I'm looking into these DeFi projects and things like that. I'm like, how do they come up with this? And I'm a creative guy, and I'm just loving what's going on. And I hope everyone keeps doing what they're doing, no matter what's happening in China or the US or in India. Everyone just keep developing and keep creating, and there's something amazing going on in the world. It's really a very empowering revolution.
Awesome. So, how do you see things? How do you see things developing over the next few years, in particular in CuraDAI, but then also potentially, elsewhere in the world? Is it something you think could be replicated in other parts of the world? Could you tell us a bit more about, where you see things going with this ethos, essentially, of creating community currencies and empowering people with community currencies?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said, CuraDAI doesn't adapt that quickly, and I feel that the team that we're working with, we're really having the potential to create something quicker and more, because it's community based, really have more impact. To do that, we are working with a program in Kenya, Sarafu. We have one of our local food forestry guys, Roland van Reene, who's an expert in syntropic farming. He's been exchanged to Kenya. He doesn't want to come back for now because he wants to develop food forest over there. But we are learning a lot of what they're doing with their community currency, and what has been the challenges there, and what have been the exciting parts, what have been the success stories. And we're taking that with us. As I said, we have a diaspora that goes all around the world. So I'm in communication with one of our local people that lives in Australia, and listening from him what's happening there with cryptocurrencies and smaller communities, and how it's empowering people there. And I'm really trying to get that experience, get that knowledge, and spread it around here. We'll be organizing a lot more workshops. We have an open office every Thursday morning at one of our local coffee bars, Bagels. And the people that have come to the open office, the questions that they're asking shows that they're really interested and they really want to understand. They really want to be a part of this change. And we just have to keep making things as simple as possible, and make sure that our customer service is not top notch, but excellent. We cannot drop a dime there, especially because it's so new, because it's so advanced. And we really need to make sure that it works until the little details. And then it can become a huge success. If I just look at coming Thursday, I'm gonna have 3 meetings lined up that are gonna be crucial to the future. And these are people that I didn't approach, they approached me because they wanna know more, because they wanna be, because they really wanna participate in community building. I mean, that's just marvelous.
Yeah. It seems there's also a sort of, an educational aspect to it. So people, the people want to know how to use it, but they also want to understand why it's important and how they can play a bigger role, essentially, which is exciting. Fantastic. What about yourself then? Tell us a bit about your background. Are you from Curacao?
Yes, I was born here in Curacao, but as it's very normal as an ex-Dutch colony, there's a lot of back and forth to Holland. So with 3 years, I went to Holland, came back when I was 9, went back to Holland again when I was 12. So you could say I'm half Dutch, half Curaçaoan. I've been back now since 2007. I really came back to try to do something for my community. Really got into some fighting with the old culture here on the island and the newer generations that really want to bring change. And I tried to be a bridge, and there failed miserably. Success had also big successes, but that's just part of the game. And once I got involved with Innovation C and Kolektivo, I really had the chance to bring my philosophy to succession. In between there, I had some big life changes, and I have a unique perspective on life, because in 2012, I had a freak accident that got me paralyzed from the chest down, needed to learn to walk again, saw my partner die in my arms. It was a very unique experience from 2012 to basically 2016, 15, learning to walk again, learning to become an entrepreneur, not even knowing what an entrepreneur meant, but winning a prize, Aspiring Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. So it's been, for me personally, it's been an amazing journey, really a complete change in mindset. And with what I've been able to do with that knowledge, I can reach people from a different angle, and I can get them more emotionally connected to something, and not just business connected, not superficially connected, or there is a more deeper emotional connection. And I notice that when I'm working with people, they want to understand better why they're doing something, especially with younger generations. And because of my background, I can reach that why better, and that's also been very important in building this project.
Very inspiring. I think what excites us most in the core team at Fuse about this project is it's doing what we're doing and trying to really implement solutions that are made for the real world, for everyday people. That requires discipline. because in the crypto space and the DeFi space, there's lots of shiny things that people can be attracted to that don't necessarily impact real people. So it requires discipline to really focus on, you know, payment-centric communities and building stuff that actually works for the common man, as it were. So it's what really excites us, I suppose, about Kolektivo Labs, the passion that you guys have, and the sort of purpose-driven approach on the island there. Obviously, it's definitely something that can have a huge impact, partly due to the problems locally, economic problems, and the difficulties that you mentioned to do with exports and imports and whatnot. So it's definitely very exciting. You were talking about meetings and whatnot that have been coming up, the open office and the workshops that you've been doing. The app was launched in, when was the app launched again? Was it in May or June?
No, I mean, the official launch we want to do end of August, like the real big party launch. Yeah. I mean, right now we're in soft launch. I don't know exactly because my colleague was in charge of it first, and at a certain point I took over because he's based in Holland and I'm here, and that just doesn't work when you want to launch the app. So I don't know the exact date.
So you're planning another, okay, so there's another sort of official launch plan for August sometime.
Yeah. Right now, I'm just trying to create this ecosystem to get people excited, and then create the big party. Let's call it that. End of August, where we can really show, like, okay, these are the merchants. This is what they are doing. These are the users so far. These are the projects that you can request a grant for, or send in a proposal for a grant. This is what Kolektivo stands for, and this is what you can do with CuraDAI. I work slightly different than most projects that they create a launch and then they go on about it. I want to create some excitement before I create a big launch, especially because this is community based, and because this is Curaçao. I think having that little twitch to it will give us more power on the long run. I'm really thinking, as you already said, in 5 years, and not just in, I want to get this thing on the market as quick as possible. No, I want to get it on the market as good as possible. I want to make sure that people never forget about using the CuraDAI app.
Fantastic. Have you got some numbers in mind in terms of, let's say, the number of merchants that you'd like to onboard over the next couple of years, or the number of users, people can see?
Yeah, I have my coworker keeps pushing me for those numbers, and I'm always scared to give numbers because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. But I'm hoping to reach 100 merchants by the end of the year, which is a pretty far-fetched, but I'm gonna aim for it. And I hope to have reached about 500 users. Not huge numbers, but for Curaçao, that's pretty good. And within the next 3 years, I hope to have reached at least 1,000 merchants. And with merchants, I mean service providers, mostly service providers, people like you and me that don't have goods to offer, because those are the easier to onboard. And then with that, also get the shops that have actual goods also to offer. And from there on, the sky is limitless. I mean, we're searching, we're developing to go to Mars. Well, let's go beyond Mars. And I really don't want to put a limit on my expectations, but I don't want to over expect anything as well, and don't get demotivated along the way. That's my mental health mindset and way of thinking in projects that I'm involved with, and it's kind of slightly different on how most people do things.
Awesome. If I'm a merchant on the island of Curaçao, I understand the power of what you're trying to do, and the benefit for the local community, the benefit of providing an incentive through CuraDAI for me to get involved as a merchant. I'm a shopkeeper, for example. how difficult, how complicated is it for me to onboard?
It's very easy. The Fuse wallet has been developed in such a way that I can onboard a merchant within a matter of minutes. It's really last week I had a communication expert that joined Kolektivo, started writing an article in our local language, Papiamento, and said, hey, can I accept a CuraDAI as well as a payment? And I said, of course. And within 3 minutes, she was onboarded as a merchant. So it's that simple. There is a part of conscience that comes with it. We won't onboard just anyone. We need to make sure that you are willing to do something for the community and like that you're working either environmentally friendly or that you're doing something for the social benefit, social economic development.
Okay, so I'm just moving here because the internet connection I think has been unstable on my end. So I'm hoping that by sitting here it will be clearer. I'm not sure how it's been so far. Has it been shaky?
No, just one really tiny interruption.
Okay. It should be better now. We can potentially cut this out or we can just leave it. It should be fine. Awesome. It sounds very exciting. How can people get in contact with, well, first of all, is there anything else that you'd like to sort of mention about the project? Whether it's to do with the rollout plan, how people can get involved. Is there anything in particular you'd like to talk about?
Sure. I mean, our website has been launched last week. Kolektivo. No, sorry, it's already 3 weeks ago. That's how fast things have been going for me. Kolektivo.co, Kolektivo with a K and co with a C. So Kolektivo is written in Papiamento, our local language. So that's why it's with a K. And Kolektivo stands for collective, of course. So Kolektivo.co, you can find all the information right there. And a beautiful part of this is we're creating our own social media related to it, and that's called Kolektivo.social. I don't know if that's that interesting for the listeners or viewers, but it's good to mention that we're really building an online community there for the people that really want to be involved. And that can be an external party. I mean, if you're a foreigner and you want to do something for CuraDAI because you love what we're doing for the community, you can be involved in that as well, of course. But with Kolektivo.social, that's where we're really gonna create an online community of creators, of developers, of builders, of you name people that really want to help develop the socio-economic development on the island. So you can find us on those two, and of course on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You can find us under Kolektivo, again with a K, or CuraDAI. You can find me under Andy Kirchner, almost everywhere. Kirchner with a K and RCH, but you'll probably show that in the show notes. Mm-hmm. I mean, feel free to reach out to ask questions. We like to hear as many ideas as possible, even when we can't do anything with them. They might trigger some inspirational thought or inspirational action. I mean, I've been talking to people that have been working in South Africa and in Senegal, and their ideas just didn't pan out for CuraDAI. But just the conversation there was so motivating and inspiring that helped me get better communication going here on the island. So for everyone, please feel free to reach out, communicate, join us on especially on our socials, and share our message.
Fantastic. It's amazing to have someone like you as part of the community and pushing this kind of implementation. Very inspiring. Thank you very much, Andy, for joining us. And we hope to hear from you again soon.
Thank you very much for your time, for the invitation. I mean, I wish we have a long and prosperous co-working in this future.
Fantastic. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.
Thank you too, Robert. Peace.
Ciao, ciao.